Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Spruce Lake Bog. This is in Fond du Lac County near Dundee, Wisconsin again. I just wanted to show you some of the highlights of the bog. We usually come here on a field trip in the spring. We'll look at some of the plants, some of the general habitat things as well. Here we have marsh marigold, a beautiful member of the buttercup family. It's got 5 petals, big heart-shaped leaves. Pretty hard to miss that one. Really bright. That is marsh marigold. We have a little violet here. This is northern white violet, one of the earliest blooming violets in the state. All right, so back to the boardwalk here. Spruce Lake Bog is a floating bog mat, and it is pretty interesting. You can't really step off of the boardwalk, otherwise you'd be up to your waist in muck pretty much. But you can see a lot of marsh marigold along the way here. Almost more of a marshy wetland as we start off, and we'll get more into the traditional bog habitat. Another cool plant here, we have skunk cabbage. I think you guys saw a video on that earlier in the semester. That is the smelly flower. Here's the leaves just starting. A couple other plants right here. I got some ferns. Some of these ferns are a little bit tough to identify when they're just starting out. Cinnamon fern is a real common one in here. Really a giant 6-foot tall fern. That's the beginning of the cinnamon fern there. You can see by the size of that. It's called a fiddlehead when they start out, kind of uncurling like that. All right, moving on down the trail. We have a couple of characteristic species right here next to each other. We got black spruce. That is an evergreen growing right next to tamarack. We'll see quite a few more of those as we continue on down the boardwalk here too. This little guy right here, that's a black spruce. Again, these are more common of northern Wisconsin. Black spruce got a really short needle, not like a pine. It's directly connected to the branch. There's another black spruce. Tamarack is a good one right there. They're a deciduous conifer, so they lose their needles. They're just starting to regrow them now. Here you can see the tamarack needles just starting out. Kind of a interesting look there. It's not focusing in too well, but all right, a couple of cool species here. We have some carnivory happening in the plant kingdom here. We have pitcher plants. Let's take a look at this guy. Pretty interesting design there. That's the leaf of the pitcher plant. Bug crawls in. There's some hairs on the tip there. And those hairs all point down. Insect lands on there. Eventually falls into its grave there. Interesting thing is some insects actually lay their eggs inside of there. So you got a bunch of insects hatching in there. Those look like some sort of a midge or something. I could be wrong. Those might actually have fallen in and died in there. That's probably more likely. I know mosquitoes do carry on their life cycle there too. So that's pitcher plant. Look at that. Just a bunch of those growing here. Carnivorous plant. Again, they're getting some of their nitrogen from the bugs that they eat. Here's another cool one of Spruce Lake Bog right here. A little bit hard to see. This is poison sumac. Most sumac has red berries. This has white berries in the fall, and the clusters of berries, I don't know if you can see those stalks right here, they're hanging down, so that's a good indication that that is poison sumac. I do not want to touch even the branches this time of year because they do have a toxic chemical that causes a rash. Another cool plant here, horsetail, just coming up. It's a member of the Equisetum genus. We looked at plant diversity. Horsetail was one of them that we brushed over. And while we are down close, I'm gonna look for another creeping vine. Got two things here. This is cranberry. Right here, creeping vine. Again, we'd find that. The cranberry is in the fall, a little bit later on. And this right here, this cool moss is called sphagnum moss. And the main ingredient in potting soil is peat moss. So this is decomposed sphagnum moss. If I dug down here, I would find that. Again, that's the main ingredient in potting soil. But sphagnum moss covers the entire bog surface here. If I stepped off the boardwalk, it'd be very spongy. Again, I might fall in through the bog mat. If I jumped, I could shake that whole the whole area. There's a bunch of pitcher plants out there, skunk cabbage. A lot of those plants are very, very common in this habitat type alone. If I look a little bit further down, here's the lake. And it is surrounded by this, it's called a bog mat. And here's where our field trip will come to a close with a view of the lake. I had a student that fell in right here once. Yes, up to her waist. Here we go, very shallow lake. It's only about 2 feet deep. There's a look at Spruce Lake and Spruce Lake State Natural Area.